The Toronto Raptors shut down the Sacramento Kings 113-95. Welcome to Raptors Tonight. I'm Randy Urban, joined by Jack Armstrong, Paul Jones, and Eric Smith. Eric, I really thought the Raptors took the fight to Sacramento tonight. How did you think they pulled this one out defensively?
First of all, you're not even going to address the fact that I'm trying to look like you know, with my hair up like this, Randy.
Oh, that's what you were doing with that. I didn't understand what you were doing. I'm sorry.
Trying to get the Randy Urban quaff going up here.
I didn't know what was going on. You got a lot of work to do if you want to get this.
Yeah, apparently, you just flip it up like a little Trump style or something. You get a little. What was the question?
I just thought that the Raptors took the fight to Sacramento today from the tip, especially defensively.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you, and I think the fact that they did it from the get-go as well, as you say, like they came out punching early. They allowed Sacramento to get back into the game, but then once they took the lead back, they never looked back. And I think their defense fed their offense all night. And I know I'm going to pass the baton to Jonesy or Jacko in a second here, but maybe if I set up my man Jonesy a little bit here, one of the things that we were talking a lot about on the radio broadcast was one of the best things they did, especially defensively tonight. It was single coverage, man on man against Sabonis all night. They weren't throwing two men at him, which limited obviously the space that Sacramento had because they weren't caught trying to, scramble and get all over the place. And they did a heck of a job against Sabonis, and they really flustered him and put him into a ton of issues tonight with a season high 9 turnovers.
Mm-hmm. It was a career high 9 turnovers. And
career high.
It was something that
it better be. That's a lot.
I pointed out at the start of the game, one of the keys would be to hang on to the highest scoring offensive team in the league. And how do you do that? Limiting some of the stuff that a guy like Sabonis is able to do. I thought the fact that, as Eric said, I was pointing this out on the broadcast, they didn't come at him with wild double teams. When you do that with Sabonis, especially close to the basket, the kid's a terrific passer. I mean, he learned from his old man. He's a terrific passer. You double team below the top of the key, below the foul line, then you're talking about a pass over the shoulder or a shovel pass, and there's no room to recover in a rotation, and you're giving up an easy shot. OG Anunoby was the primary defender on that. And they would come with doubles, but they would come late. They would come in strategic places. And their hands were active. They deflected a lot of those passes. And again, it results in 9 turnovers for Sabonis. And then the key is for Toronto, when you make shots with your defensive game plan being executed even partially, you're in business. And tonight, they shoot almost 50% from the floor, Jack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they won all 4 quarters. They thoroughly beat this team. It was a thorough butt kicking. The Raptors were really ready to play tonight. I thought their defense was engaged to the point that Eric and Jonesy made, and just in general. You look at the bench pop from Boucher and Achua. They played any kind of combination groups that they went with were successful. Scotty Barnes didn't put up a lot of points, but what did he have? 11 assists. His playmaking was really on point. The guard play was solid with Van Vliet and Trent. It's good to see OG Anunoby back. Siakam had that stretch where he just took the game over. A lot to like tonight. Really was.
Yeah, and Eric, let's build on that third quarter. Sorry, Jonesy, go ahead.
No, I was going to say to the point Jack made about the bench. Look at what you got from Achua and Boucher. You got 29 points, 11 rebounds on 16 of 23 from the floor. All the consternation and hand-wringing about the Raptor bench, they outscored Sacramento's bench tonight 36-25, and those guys were a big part of it. And I love what Nick Nurse has found at the start of the second, but we see it a lot at the start of the fourth with a hybrid unit. He had Achua, Juancho, and Boucher in there with Barnes and Anunoby. They played 2-3 zone. They get into that eagle pose. There's not a lot of room with 5 long guys on the floor playing the zone. And Nick Nurse basically says, okay, you 5, here's the lead, the same way he did against New York on Sunday. as soon as it gets to this point, you're coming out. And against New York, they went about 7.5 minutes before he put Pascal and Fred back in. Tonight, he went about 5 minutes, almost half the quarter, before he put Fred and Pascal back in. And if the bench is playing like that, then the minutes police can put their ticket books away for Pascal and Fred, right? The team plays hard, they get a lead, and that's how you rest your guys when the bench can play well.
Yeah, and Eric, just going back to that third quarter, I really thought that was such a key stretch for this game, because a lot of times you get out to a lead on the road, you know that the home team is going to come out of the third quarter with a vengeance. And the Raptors really stymied that tonight.
And that's something that they haven't done consistently over the course of the season, right, Randy? Like that's something that's kind of been an Achilles heel for the Raptors from time to time is having a rough quarter. And more often than not, I would say off the top of my head, it seems like it's been the third quarter that's really kind of bitten them more often than not. So I agree with you. The fact that they built that lead up, they got it as high as 20. The only thing I would say to nitpick a little bit, and one of the things Jonesy and I were chatting about tonight during the call, was when they had it at 20, I believe it was 4 straight possessions in the final 2-ish minutes or so.
They missed a three,
they came up empty. Like they had the chance, Randy, to really get it to 25, 28 points and really shut it down, and it's over. And they failed to capitalize. The good thing was, though, you still went to the final frame up 17. And as I think I said earlier, you never allowed them to get closer than 12. So it wasn't even bend but don't break. They still maintained a very stable lead. I just would have liked to have seen maybe some better decision-making late third to really kind of punch it through and put it away. I think they kind of started going for the hero ball, the real kill shot with the 3 ball, and it wasn't working. And that allowed a little glimmer of hope for Sacramento late.
So, Jack, what did you like about the defense on De'Aaron Fox? Because he's coming in having a great season, probably his most efficient season. He's in great shape. Obviously, the Kings are third in the West, playing great. What did you like on how they sort of stopped him?
Well, he had 4 turnovers tonight as well. I mean, you look at him and Sabonis, they combined for 13. I thought that there were times they gave him cushion, and then a second guy met him on the drive. Other times, they were very aggressive with him. As he caught the ball, made him work a little bit in the backcourt. They just changed things up. I think more than anything else, they did a pretty good job of keeping him in front. And that's not easy to do, particularly just how good he is. And I thought the Raptors did a much better job getting paint touches than Sacramento did. And, there were times tonight too, Fox was a little bit reluctant to drive it all the way to the rim. He would drive the ball a little bit into the paint and pull up for shots rather than be that much more aggressive. So I think that helped the Raptors.
Jonesy, what about Siakam? I thought third quarter he was brilliant. He was good all game, but that third quarter he really, offensively and defensively put the team on his back.
Yeah, I had a huge third quarter. I thought he was really aggressive. He made a couple of great plays at the defensive end too, really protecting the rim. And then, we talked about that hybrid unit. While Pascal's sitting down, Precious Achiuwa went to work in the fourth quarter. So, to Jack's point about winning all 4 quarters, it was a 48-minute effort tonight. It really, really was. And I just thought once they got the lead, they played with a confidence and a togetherness at both ends of the floor that really kind of put this thing out of reach.
Eric, Scotty Barnes, it felt like, obviously we know the stretch that he's been on here for the last little while, but tonight I just felt like whenever they needed that play, he made it, which is huge.
Yeah, and I mean, I love how he continues to evolve as a playmaker and the unselfishness. And I'll tell you, just as even a quick aside to that, earlier in the third quarter before he got the scoring going, I remember noting like Pascal even giving it up to make the smart play, the right play. And I think we saw that more often than not tonight from the Raptors as a whole, with Scotty, Randy, being at the top of that list. Again, not necessarily concerning himself with his shot or with his points or what he was going to get. If there's a better play to make, if there's a better if there's somebody else is in a better position, I'm willing to give it up. I'm willing to set guys up. And I think that he's taking that upon himself to be that kind of guy. He knows he can still back a guy down in the post and get his when he needs to. But if it's better for him to be a distributor and to set up, he's going to do that as well. And I thought he was absolutely fantastic, especially early in the game. I thought he really set the tone and really set it up well, allowing Fred to play a little bit off the ball and Scotty just being that facilitator. I absolutely loved it. And you look too as well, we talk about his 10, 11 assists, 1 turnover for Scotty Barnes. Massive. Team high 38 minutes.
Yeah. And Jack, I want to touch on Boucher a little bit too, because this was the quintessential game for him, in my opinion. He makes a couple threes for sure, but he was really just getting to the spots, to make himself successful.
And the blocks,
and
the energy, no, there's no doubt. And I'm drawing a blank right now which game it was he didn't even play. Just last week, there was a game, and it's happened a few times this year.
Milwaukee, I think,
yeah. It's happened a few times. And, let's face it, a guy just signed a new contract and now you don't play at all. There are certain guys that pout and hang their head. He doesn't do that. Whatever message needed to be sent or whatever happened, I give the guy credit. He comes out ready to play the next game. And when his number's called, he plays hard. And again, I think he and Achua play off of each other so well. They're so energized when they play. They love to compete. They got a positive, nasty disposition to how they play. I love it. And I think it brings the Raptors a little swag, a little toughness when they come in the game. And I thought the Raptors tonight stayed connected. There have been too many times this year where when things get a little stressful, they get a little fragmented and they go individual rather than pull together and stay together. And I thought tonight they really were a together group. And road games are the sweetest ones to win. And road games usually test that togetherness. And this is a great way to start a trip. You got 6 more. I'm sitting here watching the Warriors Memphis right now. 2 of those teams we're going to see on this trip, and they're both very good and talented. But man, oh man, if the Raptors play the way they played tonight against a team, if I'm not mistaken, was the 3rd seed in the West going into the game tonight, that's a good way to start.
Yeah, Judge, you really can't overstate that enough, because I'm looking at this and the first game can really set the tone for the rest of the trip.
It does. It does, Randy. And you win that one, you got a little jump in your step going into the next one. Listen, I know you guys have done a lot of work on Open Gym. You did a great piece, a great show on Rico Hines, and the little emotional and psychological things. You're going to Sacramento. This is a team that Rico worked with. It was home for him for a long time. He's coming home. Just a little thing. Jack talked about the togetherness. You want to get one for a guy when you're going home, and I think that was, who knows, maybe it was an underlying factor in the whole togetherness theme for the Raptors. And you're right. It starts a trip off on a great note, Randy. You move on, you start stealing them. You start feeling confident. And, confidence, I always say confidence is a zero-sum entity. When you have a lot, the other guy has a little. And right now the Raptors are feeling good.
All right. Great stuff, guys. As usual, going to stop it there. Next game for the Raptors is Friday against the Golden State Warriors. Tip-off goes at 10 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget, after the game, be sure to catch Raptors Tonight on YouTube and NBA TV Canada. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.